Spurs continue to, how do I say, not win NBA titles, I'm pretty sure that after a while, Greg Popovich will suddenly become obsolete.
But those people around him, the Grahams, the Cruzes, the Hollies, the Meadows, McCarthy, McConnell, all those guys, all older white men, it so happens.
And no, I'm not just reacting to some 15 seconds of what was basically a 13-minute rant of Greg Popovich once again going after the former president. Now, I'm not here to defend Donald Trump. That right there is not the reason why I'm making this video, even though you guys who click on this video already know where I stand when it comes to the election. I would definitely prefer Donald Trump to be president versus Kamala Harris. But this right here is more about reacting to something that, quite frankly, is just sad. Now, I want you guys to know this before we get started. I'm talking about legacy. I'm talking about how a person leaves their field of work. How a person, what mark do you leave? What mark do you leave on your peers? What mark do you leave on the fans, the crowd, the people who come to see the product? And I can already hear somebody saying that Greg Popovich has a pretty good legacy, 5 NBA rings, of course, the NBA championships. And, of course, that's something to obviously hang your hat on, even though I think that he was kind of a child during the whole Kawhi Leonard situation. But I also think Kawhi Leonard was a child as well. And, of course, you've also got people like Steve Kerr who also come out and they run their mouth about it. But here's the difference between Kerr and Popovich. In Kerr's case, while I do not agree with his reasoning for being the way he is, I do at least understand it. Steve Kerr, by the way, having 5 NBA championships as a coach, and of course also having, I think, 3 or 4 more. Please comment in the comment section if you guys remember more so than me. I'm doing this by more offhand than doing scripted, because you guys know me. Most of my content is completely unscripted. But, of course, I can understand why Steve Kerr feels the way he does. His thing, obviously, is gun control. His father was killed by a guy with a firearm. Like I said, I'm very, very pro-Second Amendment. I don't agree with Kerr's logic, but still, though, at the same time, I can understand why he feels the way he does. Where Popovich, on the other hand, is former U.S. Army, a veteran like myself, and he just goes after the former president because it seems to be like the cool thing to do. Not seeming to understand that after a while, the state of Texas, which is a very, very, very conservative state, which the liberals believe is turning purple, when in reality it's not, he continues to get away with basically running his mouth about the former president. Now, if you were winning NBA titles, if you were winning consistently, then guess what? I'm pretty sure the San Antonio Spurs organization would in fact put up with this. But after a while, fans, people, they see this type of nonsense and they think that you're just good old-fashioned sad. Now, real quick, I did not screen record 13 minutes, a full 13 minutes or anything like that, because I think that that would just make the video long and bloated and just to say longer than what my videos normally are. I don't want to bore you guys with that. I want to get right straight to the point. When you see people like, say, Robert De Niro, you see people like even Bruce Springsteen, Willie Nelson, these people who have decided to come out and endorse Harris, that's fine. We expected that. We expected you guys to do that. We expected you to do this. Even though you look, quite frankly, pretty daggone silly while you do it, you're leaving a pretty bad taste in the mouth of those who actually buy or bought the CDs, who actually bought the records, who actually... still at one point in time used to pay for singles of the song, back when iTunes would actually charge you anywhere between 69 cents to 99 cents for an actual song. You're spitting in their face. That's what you're doing. It wouldn't be so bad if you guys would just simply show up and do your thing once every 4 years, but they go out of their way to remind us exactly how terrible us Trump voters are through their social media. And they go out of their way to do this religiously because they believe that they have this aura of not being held accountable, mostly because they never really truly have been held accountable in their lives, but that, of course, is the world that we're now living in. However, there is a way to hold these people accountable without actually physically doing so, and that is, of course, to just simply ignore them and don't pay them any attention. Don't give them the airtime, don't give them the clicks, and eventually, at some point in time, they may see the error of their ways. However, some of these people are so old and corroded and so lost that that right there probably won't work. So I say just leave them to their own devices. I will be reacting to some of this because some of this is just, as you may see in the 11 o'clock video with Bill Maher, some of this is just good old-fashioned brain rot. So let's get to it.
He's pathetic. He's small. He's a whiner. We all know that. But you wouldn't have him babysit your kids. You wouldn't hire him if you had a small business. You want that man in your business? There's no way. But you're going to vote for him for president because he's strong? I mean, Kamala Harris whipped his ass in the debate, just obviously, and he's running ever since. He doesn't want any part of her because, as she said before, she's eaten many of his type.
That last
for
part,
lunch.
Greg, I will agree with you on. She has definitely eaten a lot of him for breakfast. That right there being, the guys who were in charge of the promotions. She's definitely eaten a lot of those. I mean, this is a woman, I need to remind people, who basically was horizontal to go vertical her entire career. As far as him being sad, weak, and pathetic, the man's a multi-billionaire businessman. He's already been president once before. I don't see how the hell he's pathetic. But what is pathetic is somebody who takes an opportunity to complain about somebody for 13 whole freaking minutes. Somebody who quite literally is not going to really do anything that's going to affect this 75-year-old geriatric's life. But still, though, once again, here we are. As far as the debate was concerned, we can agree to disagree on that one, because if you saw the same debate that most people saw, not just people like Popovich who were there to, let's just say, ride the stick of the Democratic Party, then obviously you guys would remember exactly what happened. And if she did in fact win the debate, I'm pretty sure that she would be doing much, much better instead of getting booed in black churches like what happened this past weekend.
As a nation, we face real challenges. We carry
Or another campaign event, a campaign event where Michelle Obama was actually received quite warmly, but yet Kamala Harris, the actual nominee, was, well...
We are fighting for America's future, and we understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear
like in Houston, where she decided that she felt the need to hoodwink an entire crowd of 30-some-odd thousand people into believing that Beyonce was going to be doing a concert, when in reality Beyonce was just going to speak for 3 minutes. Yeah, this where obviously did not go over well.
She's getting booed at her own rally.
But let's get back to Popovich.
As an attorney general, as a prosecutor, he's a small fry compared to some of the people she's gone after. And he knows it. So all he can do is cut people down, and do what he does. We've all seen all that kind of stuff. The ones that you can be even more angry about, because he's sick. He's a damaged man. He grew up the biggest wannabe there ever was in New York, right? We all know that. He wanted to be in the inner circle, but they laughed at him his whole life.
This is brain rot. And don't worry, you guys will see more of this brain rot here in a second, because it actually gets worse with Popovich. Clearly a man who never did any research. He wanted to be in the inner circle. He wanted to be in the inner circle. Trump actually was in the inner circle. He was actually there for a long time. He was the person that was inside the inner circle who stepped out and basically told you how things were. Because how many different movie stars, how many different politicians came to the man? Just about every single one of them wanted his endorsement at one point in time. Like I said, this right here is just good old-fashioned brain rot. This right here is the textbook definition of an effeminized man. This right here is the textbook definition of somebody who just simply reads the headline, doesn't even bother to look at the article. Speaking of that there, the Washington Post, and the LA Times too, for the first time since I think 1988, have decided not to endorse a candidate. Now, many people are saying that this is because Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, said, no, we're not going to endorse Kamala Harris. And there's even this report out there that the CEO of Apple, Amazon, which, by the way, is Bezos, and multiple CEOs are saying that they want to normalize relationships with the former president. I wonder why that is the case. But also at the same time, it's going to be another narrative that may come up a little bit later on. You see, the billionaires are on his side. Well, the billionaires, oftentimes, they do create the jobs, and they oftentimes do donate the most amount of money to the security apparatus, which, of course, will be another conversation at a later date. But also something else, too, to go on top of this. I think it says a lot about the newspapers, the very liberal rags, that they had people resign because they would not endorse the far-left radical social justice warrior candidate that they put up, that nobody voted for, by the way. Just figure I would say that. But there is one more caveat to what I was about to say. And that caveat is that obviously Popovich, once again, proves over the course of this conversation that he did not do his research on this. But there is, I forgot, one more thing. It's fake. It's fake outrage. It's also virtue signaling. You see, going back to the Washington Post, when the Washington Post chose not to endorse Kamala Harris, a bunch of people from like Mark Hamill, another feminized man, to Keith Boykin, another feminized man, a lot of liberals, very, very blue check marks, were putting up screenshots of their unsubscription from the Washington Post. First of all, I don't believe any of these people even read the newspaper. I don't think any of these people even go to their phone and even read the article. I don't think that they do, even though it was obviously be an article up their alley. But then again, it might scare the hell out of them because you'd be amazed at what you find in print. However, the thing that was funny to me was that these people were putting up the fact that they had unsubscribed. Yet if you actually paid very close attention to it, you could actually see that it was pretty new, and you could probably tell outright that these people had probably just subscribed and then unsubscribed right afterwards. Probably not even paying a dime, because obviously you can do that. But let's get back to the brain rot. I'm going to let this last part run all the way out.
Obama made fun of him at that dinner, and he was about to melt. That angered him so bad, it was scary. But he was never accepted. He was treated like a fool, like a clown. And now he's able to just give the finger to the world because of his position now. And that's what he's doing. He's getting back at everybody because he's so small, he's got to go after everybody, just like we all know the generals and Mike Pence and all that. We've all heard that. But those people around him, you know, the Grahams, the Cruzes, the Hawleys, the Meadows, McCarthy, McConnell, all those guys, all older white men, which so happen. They know he's an ass. They said it. I'm not saying that I think they think that. They've told us that ever since, 2015, 16, all that kind of thing. I mean, they've called him a xenophobic, a religious bigot, a racist, unfit for office, on and on and on. Their words. But they're right there with him. Do they not know that they have children and grandchildren probably that are going to lose freedom if this guy is elected? I'm not talking about a policy. I'm talking about the idea of our country.
What dinner are you talking about, Popovich? You mean the same Al Smith dinner that Kamala Harris refused to attend? The same Al Smith dinner where Donald Trump literally buried everybody in the crowd? Brain rot. If this guy had done his research instead of just listening to what other people say, because people say some things, and by the way, that brother should tell you everything you need to know about this guy, because if he operates on word of mouth and word of mouth alone, then obviously, guess what? There's obviously a lot of brain rot there. Then he would know that Kamala Harris, when she was the DA of San Francisco, she locked up parents for their kids being truant. They even released an ad about this, which I'm going to play some of this for you guys. And then RFK decided to jump in afterwards and also released a little bit that he had from a barbershop period where he went and actually talked to some guys and basically laid the facts on them that Kamala Harris, when she was district attorney, went out of her way to lock up parents as some type of prophylactic measure to save money in the state of California. And you'd be amazed at some of the stuff that obviously was revealed in those, let's just say, you'd be amazed at what was revealed by the parents who had to suffer under this. Let's play some of this.
We achieved intended effect.
I opened the door and I see at least 7 or 8 cops wanted to arrest me. As a matter of fact, they did.
And frankly, the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this,
my homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
She had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. That person could be arrested. They could lose time from work and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community.
I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted.
Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
All because of the swipe of my pen.
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
You were second in charge of the United States for 4 years.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years. A record high number of illegal crossings.
Crime's been surging across the nation.
Huge spikes in homicides.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
After 17 years of failed leadership, you are now asking us to trust you as first in charge of our country.
I am concerned and focused on big issues. Elementary and middle school truancy is actually a big issue. If we're trying to save the state money. Because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
My message to all Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
Instead of operating on word of mouth, instead of operating on what a friend of a friend or what somebody said to me without actually doing any actual honest-to-God research, this right here is what he completely missed, and so much other crap that Popovich missed. The truth be told is Gregg Popovich is a 75-year-old dinosaur whose days in the NBA are about to end. What Gregg Popovich has decided to do is he has decided to say, look, I need the extra $10 million that this person is holding back from me. I need to come out and I need to say something against the Republican nominee because it's just the thing to do. That right there is what the hell this is. You see, there are people out there who sell out, and there are also people out there who sell out for a good reason. There are also people out there who don't sell out at all. I would obviously much rather be the person who does not sell out, but I can at least understand somebody years later after they sold out if they had actual good reason for it. Popovich, on the other hand, is selling out just to be selling out because he's so easily bought. He's exactly what he just called Trump at the very, very beginning, an old, frail, weak white man. Like I've always said, the left, it's always in their nature to accuse you of what they are in fact guilty of. But there's one more thing, too. I did say this part about legacy. Your legacy is what you leave behind on this earth. Now, me, I don't have any children or anything like that. As a matter of fact, you could argue that maybe my videos, which don't really reach too far, maybe that right there is my actual legacy. Who the hell knows? But, of course, I've also told you guys that I plan on doing a lot more with this platform called YouTube in the future, and I'm not going to be going anywhere. Still, though, at the same time, though, your legacy is everything. Are we going to remember Gregg Popovich for the 5 NBA championship rings? Are we going to remember him for the 5 NBA finals that he won? Are we going to remember him for the appearances? Are we going to remember him for taking out the 04-05 defending champion Detroit Pistons? Are we going to remember him for shutting down LeBron twice? Because San Antonio also beat the Heat when LeBron James was there, and Dwayne Wade. Are we going to remember him for that, or are we going to remember him for the last 7 to 8 years just being a pasty, old, white, effeminate male? I have a bad feeling we're going to remember him for the latter. But you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. Make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.